Alright, so, the Energonverse, as it's called, over at Image, which is the Transformers G.I. Joe universe, is in full swing, and it's from what I understand, it's been a banger. I'm waiting for trade. I did get the first volume of Void Rivals as of today of this recording, so I did get Volume 1 of Void Rivals, which is like the kickoff point for everything in this comic. In this comic universe. So right now we have basically 4 titles in the Energonverse, which is basically, like I said, G.I. Joe and Transformers and original characters of Void Rivals. So like I said, there's Void Rivals, there's Daniel Warren Johnson's Transformers, and Joshua Williamson's Cobra Commander and Duke series as well. I imagine the Larry Hama's G.I. Joe books don't count, they're in their own continuity, they're just under Image now. But yeah, so it's basically has been said, apparently in a few interviews, and I don't know if there's any validity here, but it does sound like in a few interviews there was a lot of talk of, well, who could there be the chance of other Hasbro characters showing up in the Energonverse? And to which everyone was kind of like, the people over at Image were like, oh, maybe, who knows? Like, for right now, we're just focusing on Transformers and G.I. Joe. I mean, you have to understand, in this continuity as of right now, the current continuity is that the Transformers just showed up. Megatron is nowhere to be found. We know where he is. Cobra and G.I. Joe have not formed yet. They're just kind of like, it's just Duke and Cobra Commander forming the two groups. And the Autobots and Decepticons are getting their bearings. So the universe isn't really being forged yet. So there's a lot of groundwork. I guess you could call this like phase 1 of the phase 1 of the universe. That's really what it is like you basically call it phase, Energonverse phase 1. So who could show up in the future of this universe? That's a big question you have to ask. Who in Hasbro, and keep in mind it's only Hasbro, who in the Hasbro universe, in Hasbro franchise could come from IDW? And, well, technically, IDW lost a lot of them. I think they only have My Little Pony and Dungeons and Dragons. I really think those are the only 2 they have left with Hasbro. But the rest, on the other hand, are now up in the air. And it could be over at Image at any time soon. So I'm just going to go... I just thought I'd make this video talking about what characters would I love to see come to the Energonverse to make it bigger. Like, that's what this video is all about. What can we do to make the Energonverse even bigger? So, first and foremost, I want to see the Inhumanoids in this universe. I would absolutely love to have the Inhumanoids make a full appearance in this universe. That would be so fucking cool to see Megatron fight Metlar, see Starscream team up with a Decompose. That would be really cool, and to see, like, I could easily see G.I. Joe working alongside the Earth Corps. It's, again, something I would love to see. I think Daniel Warren Johnson, who's already writing Transformers right now, he would be the guy I would get to write to write and draw the Inhumanoids universe. I would say, like, what would be a perfect marriage is, like, get Daniel Warren Johnson to do art, but have Donny Cates, who would probably be the right guy for this, to do writing. But Warren Johnson has shown time and time again that he's an excellent writer as he is a artist. So Warren Johnson can totally do Inhumanoids as well. I think he would be really good at that as well. So the Inhumanoids would be an obvious pick. The Inhumanoids they never got, and the other thing is too, the Inhumanoids never got to be a part of the IDW universe. They never got that shot. They never were able to get that far to allow them to be part of that universe. So I think that would be, it was a very big misstep, probably because of like the deals falling out with IDW, and they wanted to end the Hasbro, the Revolutions universe, and start all over again because it got too big. So this would be really cool. Rather than just shoehorn the Inhumanoids into one universe, they can now come naturally over at Image. They can now like show up naturally over at Image Books, at the Image Comics universe. For other characters, the Micronauts. The Micronauts did show up in the original IDW universe, but they weren't really used a lot afterwards. So I think it would be kind of cool to see the Micronauts get a new, and get a bigger spotlight. So see the Micronauts there, maybe get more of Baron Karza and the Microverse. That would be epic. Also, another character who did get a lot in the IDW universe, they used him a lot, was Rom. Rom would be another great character I would love to see. And they do look like in Void Rivals, that does look like, I haven't read the comic yet, obviously. But Void Rivals really does look very Space Knighty, so it could be a very short matter of time before Rom is the next character to show up in the Energonverse. That's just my theory right now, that Rom and the rest of the Space Knights could show up in that universe. Who knows? I don't know yet. I'm sure someone in the comments is already typing that shit down right now. For others, Mask. Mask works perfectly in this universe. Again, Mask was also another big deal for a hot minute in the Revolution storyline. That would be really cool to see them show up in this universe. Having Miles Mayhem as a big villain alongside Cobra Commander would be perfect. I think that would, having Miles Mayhem would be a great opponent, for Cobra and G.I. Joe to overcome. Who else? Who else would be really cool? Action Man? Action Man, yeah. Action Man's another one. I feel like if anyone has the best shot of showing up next, it's probably Action Man. I would even dare say that he might be next. Like, he could be easily the next character to show up in this continuity. I would say that's a fair bet. But I know what I'm saying is, let's have all the Hasbro titles show up, right? That's the one thing I loved about the IDW universe, is that it became a shared Hasbro universe. But the problem at the same time was, it really just became about G.I. Joe and Transformers, and sometimes ROM. The Micronauts, Action Man, and the other characters just kind of fell in the background. So I think this could actually work better if you could just you could bring in these characters naturally, rather than try to throw them into one big boiling pot and really use the big two. Right now they're only using the big two, and it would be a good way to branch out from there once you establish this universe more. But yeah. So you guys tell me in the comments below, what other Hasbro properties would you like to see in the Hasbro universe? Like, who would you love to see in the Hasbro Energonverse? Excuse me. Yeah, who would you want to see next in the Energon universe? Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.